And thank you, Rich. Welcome back to the booth here in Milwaukee. Marshall Sutcliffe with Randy Buehler, and we're ready for the third round. Now, this is huge, right? This is the people that get to come out of the draft with a 3-0 start, which is a huge deal. Let's head down to the feature match area for round number 3. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we're in the third round of action here of the tournament, Randy, and of course that means that this is the finals of our draft pod.
Oh, yeah. Who wins that first draft pod? That 3-0 feels so good.
Ugh, it's got to feel great.
I mean, it's not just the 3-0 inside the Swiss. It's, you know what? I spiked a draft, right? Sat down to draft battle for Zendikar, first Pro Tour of the season, and won the table. That's what these guys are. Everybody in here wants to do. A couple of veterans in the first match, too. Patrick Chapin, the Hall of Famer, Pro Tour Atlanta champion, couple of runner-up finishes at Worlds over the years. More known these days as a constructed player, so it's particularly powerful for Patrick if he can 3-0 this draft.
Absolutely. His opponent on the other side is Ken Yukuhiro from Japan. You take a look at Ken here.
He's been around for a while.
Yeah.
25 Pro Tours played. You know, he's closing in on 200 lifetime pro points at this point. He's got 1 Pro Tour top 8, half a dozen Grand Prix top 8s, including a win in Singapore. So silver level pro.
And it looks like Patrick has drafted one of the decks that we have talked about quite a bit in the booth already today, Randy. It's Blue-White Flyers, and here he goes. Starts things off with a Stonehaven Medic, which is a reasonable blocker on the ground.
Yeah, that guy's a lot better than he looks. He looks like one of those dorky 2-mana 1/3s, but A, there are very few 2-drops in the format. B, what you want to do with your 2-drops is be able to block if somebody shows up and actually tries to curve out against you. And C, the ability to gain life just has a lot of synergy with a lot of different cards in this format, especially in white. All
right, Pilgrim's Eye fight, though, in the feature match areas. Both players spend their third turn developing out their board with Pilgrim's Eyes.
Yeah, I don't actually see any life gain synergy in Patrick's deck. But yeah, 2 of his 3 Stonehaven Medics made the cut anyway.
Yeah, Patrick's deck looks solid to me. He's got 2 Fortified Rampart, which is sort of the other 2-drop that you want if you're blocking.
Indeed.
It's in fact better than the Stonehaven Medic, but they approximate each other enough so that they're somewhat interchangeable as far as flyers goes. He's got the Angel of Renewal, Courier Griffin, a Ghostly Sentinel. These are kind of a lot of the cards you expect to see. He's got a Shadow Glider.
2 copies of your favorite blue card, the Coastal Discovery.
Oh, God, he's got 2?
2.
Ooh. Immediate Jealousy is a great one. He's got a Hedron Archive, which is a card I like a lot in the format as well. This is a nice little deck that Patrick Chapin's assembled here. Yeah, and I mean, check this out. Grove Rumbler on the ground, can't get through the 06 Fortified Rampart, and now a Ghostly Sentinel is going to start chipping away at Ken Yukuhiro's life total.
Yeah, Ken's got very much the red-green landfall deck. 4 copies of McKindy Slide Runner in this deck. 3 copies of Grove Rumbler in this deck. Oh, by the way.
And he's got a Zada here as well?
Oh, by the way, a certain red uncommon X spell.
Oh. That is how a lot of these red-based decks start. I'm going to take a Rolling Thunder and then figure out what direction I'm going to go from there.
15? Yep.
Yeah, and a lot of people prefer to draft the Devoid side of red. You'll often see, McKindy Slide Runner going pretty deep in a pack. Even Valakut Predator will go just a lot later in a pack than it might if it wasn't for the fact that those cards have anti-synergy with the Devoid side of red.
Yeah, this is just really working out exactly how Patrick Chapin hoped it would, a pair of McKindy Slide Runners. But the problem here, of course, is that the 06 Fortified Rampart has held off the Rumbler such that any landfalls that Ken has made while it's on the table are just squandered. And eventually Ken runs out. And those landfall triggers, those are a precious commodity in this landfall deck. And that Fortified Rampart is just effectively eating them up. And here's a Coastal Discovery now as well. Wow, this has been a really nice sequence here for Patrick Chapin. He has curved out beautifully. He's employed his game plan. He set things up. He's got pressure in the air. Now, the one thing that you will note about this Blue-White Flyers deck, it isn't bulletproof. If you have enough removal to just kill their flyers, look at his ground game. I mean, outside of the 4-4 that he just made, it's pretty meager here. He's got a 2-3, a 1-3, and an 0-6. And Ken, clearly outclasses that as far as defense goes. So it does get interesting where if Ken can find his Rolling Thunder, if he can find Touch of the Void and just pick off each of the flyers, it can really force Patrick to go long. That's where cards like Coastal Discovery become absolutely key. They reload and keep the threats and the blockers going on the ground for Chapin. Whoa, he just totally went off. Check this out, Randy.
Yeah.
So that is Zada Hedron Grinder being abused with Earthen Arms. He just put 2+1 counters on every creature he has because that's what Zada does. She copies. If you cast Instant or Sword, you can read it on the side of your screen, but she copies them for each creature. So now Ken Yukuhiro just going off. That is sick. I've never seen anybody do that.
No, that's cool. That's kind of the dream with Zada, is to pull off something like that. And there are 2 copies of Earthen Arms in his deck, along with it Infuse the Elements, to try to set up exactly this combo.
This might be the best case, right? Like the other combat tricks are temporary, and while you can get a big swing out of it, I mean, he just transformed his board from being kind of shrug-worthy to being really nasty. Wow. Ken Yukuhiro comboing off with Zada Hedron Grinder. That's absurd. And he's not wasting any time. He's just going to send everything into the red zone here. He has not played a land this turn, which is really interesting because he has one. He could have triggered.
He had Swell of Growth in his hand. He wants to play the land at instant speed.
And you know what? Patrick's going to be keenly aware of this fact.
What do you do about it, though? You Swell of Growth.
I'm not saying he can do anything. I'm just saying he's going to know.
Don't forget you get to target Zada.
Oh, my God. What? How many lands does Ken have in his hand?
Just the one.
Oh, that's so sad. 4 landfall triggers. He could attack for 100. I'm calling it. Chapin's at 21, yet somehow his life total is actually being threatened here.
Yeah, this game took a turn. At the beginning of this turn, you were talking about how awesome Patrick's setup was and how amazing the blue-white deck lined up here.
He had just plotted right along, and the difference maker here is Zada Hedron Grinder. And
Yeah,
I gotta be
Zada's
honest,
insane.
every time I've played with or against Zada, sure, like I'll play it in the deck.
Yeah.
Zada's fine. There's nothing wrong with the card, but I've never seen anybody go off like this.
This is insane.
Zada's an ally. She helps the team. But this is just silly.
Block.
2 blocks, Swell of Growth targeting Zada, and Patrick knew it was coming.
Yep. He's not surprised. It does take down his fortified rampart. It does.
Oh, gain a life. I like it.
Wow, sure.
How much is he taking? That's what I want to know.
5, 7, 9, 4, 5, 7, 3,
3 trample.
That's 11?
7, 10, 19 points.
19 points.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9.
And this is 4, 6, 8. Minus 4 is 4, so
That's 13.
Oh, press 1. Yes.
Press 3. Yeah.
And then 4, 5, 6,
Ah.
7.
Yeah, 19 points.
I'm at 3. Yep.
Oh my God. That was insane.
Ken Yukuhiro brought a combo deck to the limited table. And he has left Patrick Chapin from 22 to 3 in 1 hit through an 06.
1,000 years of magic from a Hedron, I guess.
Gosh, I have not. That is incredible.
Yeah, Zada seems more destroyer of worlds here than grinder.
What is Chapin going to do here? Now, he still has Ken down to 12. He's hitting him down to 9 here with his Ghostly Sentinel. He's got a game plan here.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
Look at Ken's hand. There's another Earthen Arms coming.
So he could have cast both last turn, but this got more damage in while the
He wanted
shields were
swell,
down.
Yeah.
So he has a land now off the top as well, so he gets to go landfall trigger.
Retreat to Kazanda.
Sure.
Gain
Play a land.
No.
Gain 2.
Oh, and
Gain
land.
2. Gain 2 and
Landfall
plus-
triggers.
Yeah, so he's going to gain 2 life and trigger his landfall. And here's Earth and Arms in number
Really? Yeah, it worked last turn. It's going to work again, isn't it?
Also, I think Chapin's looking at it like, well, what if I kill it in response? The problem is that those copies are, it's on the stack. It doesn't have to be there.
The copies are created. It's a triggered ability. So it just
Yeah.
triggers for Zada.
And Chapin knows that, too. I don't
Yeah.
think he has anything in his hand to do.
Yep.
4 +1/+1 counters on every creature.
And remember,
Zada's not going to rumble. Zada's just hanging out.
Yeah, and remember, there was landfall here as well.
And all 3 of those creatures trample.
Yep.
Good luck, Patrick.
So what's in Patrick's hand, Randy? Does he have a Smite the Monstrous?
He does.
Wow. So that was actually pretty brutal because one thing that Patrick has the option to do, right, is to kill Zada on his turn. He can smite Zada and then
could
pass
have.
the turn back while Ken's tapped out.
Sure.
But instead, he decided that he needed to save it and try to trick Ken into attacking him.
Use it at instant speed.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick had so few options there, but then it did open the door for Ken to have another combat trick or another Earth and Arms, and he had it.
Did Ken even need Zada on that last turn?
I mean, it felt kind of like he did. At any rate,
It felt awesome. It was a lot better for having Zada.
indeed. And
Wow.
that will do it for Game 1. Ken Yukuhiro takes Game 1 over Patrick Chapin. We'll be back right after these messages. Put your game to the test at a Grand Prix. These open tournaments feature the best players in your region as well as top Magic pros. Upcoming Grand Prix include Beijing, Quebec City, Porto Alegre, Lyon, and Indianapolis. Visit magic.wizards.com/Grand Prix for a complete schedule. Friday Night Magic has expanded to include all formats. Get ready for Commander, Legacy, or even Conspiracy drafts. Check out your local store for details and share your FNM stories by using the hashtag MTGFNM. Visit magic.wizards.com/FNM for more information. And welcome back to the feature match area here. Explosive Game 1 between Ken Yukuhiro and Patrick Chapin, but we're going to let them take care of their sideboards.
Oh,
We jump over to one of our other tables.
We're not going to get a chance to see Oliver Pollock-Rotman, by the way. But I got to give the update. If you were here for the draft, Oliver Pollock-Rotman was the guy sitting on William Jensen's left who got past some nice black-red cards, right?
Did he take them?
He took them.
Oh.
He has, we saw 2 Forerunner of Slaughter and a Duststalker go through pretty late, and it was just like, oh man, if he had been Psychic, maybe it would have been black-red. But man, if Oliver Pollock-Rotman got the read and moved in, he should be hooked up. He has 3 Forerunner of Slaughter, 2 Duststalker in this black-red deck, couple Silent Skimmers, 4 Kozilek Sentinels at the 2 spot, multiple Nettle Drones, multiple Vile Aggregates. Wow. How do you get 2 Vile Aggregate, 3 Forerunner, 2 Duststalker in your black-red aggro deck?
Yeah, he finds himself somehow at 2-0 competing
No,
to win
he
his
doesn't.
pod. Oh,
No, he's 3-0 already.
Done deal?
They're
Okay.
done. He's already 2-0'd this round. He has defeated Mark
Tobias,
Tobias to win that feature pod.
all right. Well, congratulations to him. He found the right lane and stuck in it. Now we're checking in, of course, on Greg Orange versus Bill Chronopoulos. And it seems that they're still in Game 1 here.
Yeah, still game 1. A lot of allies from Chronopolis, but Greg's been able to deal with most of them. Chronopolis may be familiar to you from the World Magic Cup. He was on the Greek team that took 2nd last year.
Totally remember him. I mean, I won't lie. It's because of its really cool last name. He was actually at the GP last weekend. We were calling him Lighthouse Chronopoulos.
Nice.
But
You were calling him Lighthouse.
Yeah, I'm trying to kind of spread the blame a little there.
Good luck with that.
Gregory Orange was also there.
What were you calling him?
The Citrus Assassin.
There you go.
His friends actually call him that as a joke, but then I just started calling him that too because I think it's funny. Orange is down to 9 life here, but with a pretty dominating board state, it looks like. What is it, an Angelic Gift sitting down there on the core Castigator? It looks like it. Not a whole lot going on here for Bill Chronopoulos.
Yeah, he curved out with a decent allied start, but been kind of blunted by Gregory Orange. Up there at the top of the screen, it looks like Dragon Master Outcast got ingested. It's not where you want that guy to be. Orange also has 2 copies of Grip of Desolation in his deck. Not one.
He's got 2?
Yeah, that probably contributed to him sitting here playing to win the pod.
Yeah, it looks like he's hit that stage of the game as well. He's got a huge board here. All right, well, we're going to let's let Greg and Bill kind of finish things up here. And we'll move back over to our main match. I have to see what happens in Chapin versus Yukihiro here. I don't want to miss a minute of it in case Ken does something crazy again. So let's jump back over to our main match. We'll keep you updated on our back tables as usual.
22.
King of the Hill match has Yoel Larson ahead. All right, and it looks like Tightening Coils basically nullified a McKindy Slide Runner, but a nice follow-up play here for Ken. He also, very nice sideboarding there for Ken Yukuhiro. You can see he's got a Plummet in his graveyard, which took down a Courier Griffin. But the Grove Rumbler there looking to do work here. And after seeing a bunch of combat tricks from Patrick Chapin in the first game, from Ken Yukuhiro in the first game, Patrick Chapin is going to have to be wary of throwing his Fortified Rampart on the blocks.
Gregory Orange did win that game we're looking in on, by the way.
Okay, he's finished that one up. So Chapin has a lot more information about what Ken Yukihiro's doing now. Can he capitalize on it? He's going to play and anticipate. He's got a Hedron Archive, so plenty of mana. He just needs stuff to do with it here. Hopefully the anticipate can help him find something. Seen a lot of anticipate see play in this format. I think not because it's such a great card, it's fine, but primarily because there's not a lot to do at 2, and that's a pretty suitable card to play if you don't have anything else to do at the 2-drop slot. It's good at any point in the game. Helps you find your mana if you need it, helps you find your big important spells. Seen a lot of play. Speak of the devil, there's another one.
I'm going to speak about another devil. Ken has drawn Zada. She's looming. No tricks this time.
She's a goblin ally, okay? She's
not a devil.
I don't know if Chapin would agree, though. Devilish, at least. All right, Shadow Glider is what Chapin comes up with here. Here's a landfall trigger, though, for Ken. Grove Rumbler and the Channeler are going to get in, so that... Oh, the Grove Rumbler gets blocked here, so Chapin taking 1 less damage, and Ondu Champion is the follow-up play. So Ken's just sort of patiently building out his board, getting in for some damage when he can.
Hoping to draw an Earthen Arms.
And play them both in the same turn.
Oh, yeah. That's the plan.
I get the shivers when I think of that.
Yep.
And Chapin is just working right through his library here. I mean, he's played Anticipate, plus a Shadow Glider, and now he's going to crack his Hedron Archive. Really looking for action here. And he's found some. I see that he's got a Smite the Monstrous in his hand. Does he want to build out his board, or does he just want to smite something? He wants to build out his board. McKindy Patrol is going to give his team Vigilance until end of turn, so he's going to get in with the Shadow Glider, though realistically the Shadow Glider is probably not blocking anyway. Uh-oh, did Ken do it? There's Zada. And since she's an ally...
Yep, triggers the trample ability.
That's because of the Ondu Champion there. And he's just going to send in with the team here. Keeping it simple for Ken Yukuhiro. Not able to find I'm going to call it a combo piece with Zada yet.
Pat's got Lithomancer's Focus. should let him pick off this channeler.
Yes.
But yeah, definitely where he doesn't know that there's no combo piece for Zada. He's definitely got to worry about swell.
This is a pretty safe double block for Chapin. Whichever creature Ken orders first, he can use Lithomancer's Focus on. He also can just let it happen.
You pass priority. Yep.
He said you pass priority because Chapin still has the opportunity to use Lithomancer's Focus if he wants. Chapin's trying to figure out, Ken, are you going to play a combat trick here
Yeah.
or not? And Chapin gets to be the last one to act in this sequence, so he gets to know whether Ken does, and Ken has to forego the option to do it if he doesn't want to. All right, so Chapin's going to take that opportunity to use his Lithomancer's Focus. That means that none of his creatures die, but the Channeler does. He does take a big hit of damage here.
He took
4. Was it 4? Yeah, okay.
just
So
4.
not huge.
Effectively a 1-for-1 trade, but the 1-mana instant for the 5-mana creature.
Yeah, he's got to be happy with that. Unfortunately, this Shadow Glider, not a significant clock as Ken's only falling down to 16 here. So he's going to need some help. All right, that's nice. He's got a Tide Drifter. That's an 0-5. And he has deftly left up the mana for Smite the Monsters here as well.
Patrick is, in fact, holding Smite the Monstrous.
And Yukihiro's just going to simply pass the turn back. That Tide Drifter has successfully held down the ground. Now, the issue here, though, is that Ken is 1 Earthen Arms off the top away from growing out his team pretty huge. Now, Chapin can take down 1 of them. Ken's going to have attackers. And Ken's just playing land go here. He doesn't want to waste those landfall triggers, but he wants to be able to, cast Earthen Arms. It costs 7 to awaken that.
Right.
As an example. A Blighted Step there for Chapin means that he's not going to get one-shotted out of the game. But Ken's rumbling now. In they go. Now, what's changed here is the question for Chapin. He's like, no, you didn't attack the last 3 turns, or the last 2 turns, but now all of a sudden you decide you're going to get frisky here. What's the difference? And I'm sure that Chapin will find out shortly. There's a block. And a block.
Block.
And it's Sure Strike.
Oh.
Now this
Targeting
isn't his,
Zada.
targeting Zada. Now this isn't his best combo, but it's pretty good.
It's fine.
Yeah. And Chapin actually has an interesting decision on whether he just wants to kill Zada. He would take less life but lose his creatures. But it just takes that threat off the table of Ken drawing an Earthen Arms and kind of blowing up his side of the board. Or just to take less damage. And Chapin says, look, I know you don't have another trick right now. I'm going to risk that you're going to draw one and just take out your Grove Rumbler, which is, going to eat a creature currently and do some damage later. So Chapin relying on the fact that Ken is unlikely to draw more combat tricks. And he's right.
So that turn winds up as 2 cards for 2 cards.
But Zada's still around.
But I mean, so is the wall.
So is the wall. Man, Fortified Rampart has done such work for Chapin here, too. Pilgrim's Eye for him.
Now it's 3 power worth of flyers.
This has been a
Patrick's-
great match.
It has been. We can still get another game of it, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for selfish reasons, I would like to see that.
Would you also like to cut Ken to the Zada a 3rd time?
Not if I was in Chapin's seat.
No, I mean as a spectator, as a neutral.
Absolutely. That was super fun. Chapin's patient with that Blighted Step. The longer he waits, the more potential life gain he can get out of it. And in for 3. All right, well, this clock is real now.
Oh, yeah.
That's a Halimar Tide Caller there for Chapin. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't currently have a target to get anything back. But it will give any future Awakened lands flying, which could end the game next turn. You know, if Chapin finds Coastal Discovery or something, this game can just be over. McKindy Slide Runner for Ken Yukuhiro isn't super impressive on this board. So let's see if Chapin finds it. Well, he didn't immediately go for it if he did.
Patrick's had an exert influence in his hand for a long time in this game. Only the 2 colors, though. So.
Finally found a target for it with the McKindy Slide Runner. Yeah, you can still play that card for 2. I think it's fine. If you have the ability to get it to 3 even occasionally, it does make it a lot better.
Yeah. I feel like only 2 colors in your deck and the card is... You play it.
You play it.
But it's not exciting. And, I mean, this is fine. But it's not, again, not exciting. If we had a 3rd color, he could have stolen Zada. Would have been awesome.
Card off the top for Yukihiro. He picked up game 1 in impressive fashion against a perfectly reasonable draw from Patrick Chapin's side. But Ken, what he did you could not describe as reasonable. But this game's been a lot more straightforward from Ken's side. He hasn't done anything super abusive yet. And you can see that he's starting to feel the grip tighten a little here, and he's going to start jamming with some creatures. He's got to do something here. Chapin's at 8.
I'll block here. No blocks.
He's not going to block Zada, but he is going to block Ondu Champion. Ken's thinking. And Ken says, yeah, that will actually just do it right here.
On to game 3.
And we're going to get a game 3 out of these two. So I got what I wanted.
There you go.
An exciting game 3 conclusion. You can see in our feature match, we've still got 2 of our 3 remaining matches still underway. See Yoel Larson down there. In fact, why don't we take a look at our back table here, where we're going to rejoin Bill Chronopoulos versus Greg Orange. We checked in on them a few minutes ago as Greg was just finishing up the game, which he did.
Wow. Dragon Master Outcast. Finished this one up for the other side.
Speaking of finishing up the game.
Yeah, multiple dragon tokens.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing can just dominate, especially
Dragon
against
Master
certain
Outcast,
colors.
yeah. Dragon Master Outcast does not take very long to clean up a game like that.
No, the first dragon's fantastic, and the second is so difficult to overcome. So that'll do it for that one, game 2, but that does mean that we're going to get a game 3 on our back table, so reasonable chance that we have a chance to check in with that again before the round is finished. Let's go over to the King of the Hill, though. And you see Yoel Larson is lining up blocks here. There must be a swarm. Oh, there's a swarm surge. Okay. Right?
Yeah.
No, that's not a swarm surge. What is going on? Why is that drifter attacking?
Ruination Sage, maybe?
Ruination Guide.
Ruination
I don't
Guide.
see one, though. Is that it in the middle?
Yeah, I think it's the second creature.
Okay, that must be a Ruination Guide. Because Tide Drifter usually doesn't get that frisky.
Yeah, that's definitely Ruination Guide.
Ah, there we go. Good.
Yo, up a
The
game
world
in the
is
match,
right again. Yes.
but up against it here, it looks like. Down to 5.
And this looks like a pretty complicated block here for Larson. He's throwing multiple looks at this, trying to figure out exactly how to do it. Larson's down to 5. And he takes 4 to go to 1. Remember, lands are colorless, so Ruination Guy does pump them. So what is Marcos's plan here? How does he get that last point of damage through?
Well,
I guess he's got
to
3 creatures. All right, so he just put it on Larson to say, all right, well, come up with a creature right now. Even a chump blocker would be fine. Because that Plated Crusher will gobble up a land. Oh,
that's
wow,
a creature.
What a huge rip. 2 creatures for Yoel Larson, including an Undergrowth Champion. Wow, that is a major...
Uh-oh.
What does he have? Oh, he has Clutch of Currents.
Yep.
Clutch of Currents, get Undergrowth Champ out of the way, and attack with 4 creatures into your 3. I didn't think it could have gone better for Yoel Larson as the turn was passed to him rather than cast 2 creatures, including an Undergrowth Champion, but Marcos had the line the whole way and could even beat 2 creatures there. That evens things up for that match as well. So we're going to get a Game 3 there as well. Game 3 is all around here, except for Oliver Polak-Rotman, who, as you described earlier, Randy, kind of had the sweet red-black Devoid deck and really put it to Mark Tobias.
Looking at all the cards he wound up with in that deck, I mean, well, it'll be up for the draft. You were ready with the featured draft pod, so go in and you just dream about this hookup. He must have started in black-red and then gotten past the late Forerunner. It's
so
insane,
good.
right? Like, he doesn't even have cards of other colors in his sideboard.
You know, this is
just beautiful.
This set can be very synergistic in the decks and the way that they play out, and that does happen sometimes. That you say, I'm just going to plant my flag in this lane and see if it comes together.
Yeah,
and then when it does, it's
cross
like,
your fingers and hope. Yeah, exactly. And when it does work out, it's just amazing. That featured pod also on the other side, we watched Brian Kibler draft, and he seemed really happy with his red-green landfall deck, but he was 0-2, did finally get the first win.
Okay.
Tom Martell is actually the 0-3 at that feature pod.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah.
All right, so a nice little start here on McKindy Slide Runner, but again, the Fortified Rampart is just the bane of his existence. This thing has been so annoying for him.
Wow.
And he's going to kill it here. Yes, it
2
does
landfall triggers on the same turn and the swell damage.
I can't tell you how big of a play that was for Ken.
Gigantic.
Getting that Fortified Rampart out of the way this early is huge. It means future landfall hits are going to be better on the Slide Runner, and it just means that cards like this, right? There's so many cards in Chapin's deck that just don't block that well, especially if Ken follows it up with Grove Rumblers or anything along those lines. He's going to trade off his Slide Runner for the McKinney Patrol, but there it is, a Grove Rumbler. And now, this is where Chapin plays cards that are like 2/2s for 3 with flying and 3/3s for 5 with flying, and the Grove Rumbler just does not care. Interesting. So, and this is a good example here, the Cloud Manta. But, Randy, are you seeing that mountain? Did he put that in just for the Exert influence, or I wonder if Patrick actually had something in the board for him here. He's got an Akum Hellkite, a Chasm Guide, Warpaint, Lava Step Raider, a Rolling Thunder, and a Stone Fury. So he has 3 really good red cards, but they're all double red.
Yeah, I doubt those came in.
I doubt it too.
Exert influence.
And he did it. He had the Exert influence.
Wow.
And he takes the Grove Rumbler while the shields are down.
Crazy.
Oh, that was huge. Crazy Patrick Chapin getting the sweet sideboard plan there, bringing in a mountain, and it totally paid off there.
Just needed Exert influence to do 3.
Oh.
Splashing a color just for Converge.
That was great, man. Ken Yukuhiro really has his work cut out for him now. As anybody that's played Limited for a while knows that these type of effects, the ones where you just steal a creature from your opponent, they're a built-in 2-for-1. You remove one of their creatures and you get one on your side, and it's such a big play not only in card advantage but also in tempo. Patrick Chapin recognizing this.
Here's Earthen Arms.
This is Earthen Arms with Awaken.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well, Ken's not giving up yet. That's 6 damage right there, dropping him down to 9. So Chapin, part 1 of his master plan worked out great, but he does still have to follow up here. because Ken's got a really nice board here also. A 6-6 and a 4-4 can get a lot of work done here, especially since Patrick's at 9 and has no life total to work with there. Remember, these players are both 2-0 in their pod. And this is going to be a coastal discovery to make a 4-4, but it's tapped as Patrick had to tap out here, and he's going to peel a couple of cards off the top of his library. So he actually doesn't affect the board in any meaningful way this turn, which means that he's going to have to block. But you can see him turning the corner here. Ken does not seem to have much removal in his deck. I don't think we've seen any from him yet.
His removal is you need to block. Oh, wow. Pat brought in the double red cards.
Oh, he did bring them in?
There's a Rolling Thunder in his hand right now.
Ah. So he must have felt like he needed that extra punch. Now Ken just passes a turn back. This gives Chapin a lot of breathing room here. Chapin with multiple anticipates in the deck can also try to find his other red mana sources. Well, how about a Pilgrim's Eye? That gets it right out of the deck, and that's going to unlock Chapin's hand of now Rolling Thunder and Stone Fury as well, which are going to be huge here.
Yep.
Chapin feels like he's really turned the corner now.
Back table update, by the way. Gregory Orange played both of his copies of Grip of Desolation. First one kept Chronopolis off his land.
He resolved both of them?
He resolved both of them. Not only killing things, but also turning off Dragon Master Outcast by destroying land.
The thing I haven't figured out is why did Ken not attack last turn? He had a 6-6 facing down a 3-2 flyer and a 3-3 on the ground. You would trade that. But he declined to attack. Now that 3-2 flyer's hitting him in the air. The 4-4 is now untapped. It was tapped at the time. And it looks like he's falling behind further and further as Chapin has drawn cards, hit his mana, has some really powerful spells in his hand as well. Ken's awakening another land, it looks like. Doesn't look very happy about it, though. Telegraphed a little something there to Chapin.
Yeah.
It looks like he may be changing his mind.
It's Earthen Arms.
It's another Earthen Arms.
Target. Target.
All right. See what Chapin.
fine.
Chapin
I
says
think-
okay.
And this kind of explains why he didn't want to attack into a potential trade. Even though it would have been a 2-for-1, now he's got an 8-power channeler.
I see. So he wanted to try to set it up for a turn later. And he is forcing a chump here.
And just these two. Anticipate.
So Chapin is going to be diligent here. He's going to cast Anticipate right now. He does have Lithomancer's Focus in his deck. Also, it just gives him a little more information
Sure.
about how he wants to block. What can happen next turn. So he's doing this now. This is a critical juncture in the game for sure. I mean, it feels like Chapin should be ahead here, but Ken does have an 8-8 hitting right now. And that's no joke. Chapin thinks about it for a while and takes a card. He has to block something.
Pilgrim's Eye makes a reasonable jump blocker.
It does, yeah. And something to consider, of course, is that mountain is not attacking. That had to be tapped for Earthen Arms. And Chapin's just going to trade off land for land, both of them being 4/4s, and chump block to take 0 damage that turn.
This board, though, this is an 8/8 and a 4/4 against a 3/3 and a 3/2.
It's no joke. And Chapin looks like he's having a hard time turning the corner here, and he doesn't have enough lands for Stone Fury or Rolling Thunder to be able to take down the 8/8. It is just massive.
He can only roll for 5 here.
Now, he's got a Hedron Archive that can help that for next turn. Oh, and he's drawn a Smite the Monstrous. Wow, look at this turn, Randy.
Smite's great.
Smite is amazing, and
You
he
know
can
what, he's
cast
also-
it plus Archive this turn.
He's also setting up for a lethal Rolling Thunder next turn. Right? He can get in some damage. He can smite the 8/8. And then potentially just win the game with a big Rolling Thunder next turn.
He gets in for no damage here, playing it safe.
Yeah, he's playing defense. Trample.
Trample would
Ken
change
thinks
things.
he's got it.
No cards. Yep.
He was very excited to top
Ugh.
deck Trample. Because Chapin looked like a man who wanted to chump block.
Man, Ondu Champion was going to do it, and Ken just has to say, oh,
Yeah,
why did
Patrick
you have
was-
to have that?
Yeah, Patrick was not in chump block mode. He was in double block and smite your 8/8 mode.
And there's no cards in hand for Ken, so
Right.
Chapin knows that the coast is clear on this double block here.
Yep.
Wow.
So it turns into a 1-for-1 trade and leaves Ken with just the recently drawn ally.
Yeah, and you know, it felt like Chapin was ahead, and that's why. He had more cards in hand, and he has more options to leverage, and after he just anticipated, and now he really feels like he's turned the corner here.
Yeah.
Sitting at 9.
Wow, he can Rolling Thunder for 8?
7 right now, 8 with a land drop.
Yeah.
He can get in for 3 with the Cloud Man to drop into 11, and that sets up the win next turn.
Rolling Thunder. 3. Yep. And 5 to you. Yep. 9.
Make it 6.
Patrick Chapin, ladies and gentlemen.
McKindy Slide Runner off the top for Ken, but he kind of flippantly passes the turn back because he knows that this has not gone well down the stretch, and Chapin is poised to 3-0 his draft pod here on day 1 at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. And you know he's got something for Standard.
Always.
He's going to kick things off by cracking the Hedron Archive because he still has enough mana for Stone Fury anyway, if anything were to go horribly wrong. How about an Akum Hellkite?
How about? Yeah, how about a scoop and a handshake?
And that will do it. We have our 3-0 from that pod. That's Patrick Chapin. And he's going to come in again. You know, we're going into the standard rounds after this round here in Milwaukee. And, I mean, he always brings the goodness for that stuff. So what a start for Chapin. We're going to certainly have our eye on him. And that leaves us with just one match left in our feature match area. It is our King of the Hill match. That's Joel Larson on the left. And we've got some action here, it looks like. Oh, yeah.
We've got an Invoker
We got a Valakut
online.
Invoker online, and that is a huge deal as we've seen that card dominate the late game multiple times.
That'll do it.
And that's it.
The Ulamog's Nullifier would have killed Yoel Larson, but instead it dies to the Invoker. Yoel's comfortable in the feature match area.
He just kind of belongs there, I think.
Hey, he's been there for a while now, dating back to the last Pro Tour.
Yeah, so he gets to hang around for yet another round as, again, we wrap up round 3 here.
When's the last time we had a Pro Tour winner 3-0 the first draft and hang out in the King of the Hill chair?
You know, I don't remember it happening.
No, I don't either.
Yeah.
We've seen some long King of the Hill runs, but not usually from the defending champ.
No, it usually comes when somebody puts together a run at the end of day 1 and then puts together a great draft and kind of continues it through. Great stuff down in the feature match area, though. I tell you what, I can't wait for the drafts tomorrow as well. I know a bunch
What
of
are
you
you
at
talking
home.
about? I can't wait to see what Standard is about.
Yeah, teach their own.
It's Christmas morning. We get to open presents and see what all the Pro Tour players have brought us to play with for the next month.
I just opened all of mine on Christmas Eve, as it turns out. No, I'm excited too. I mean, this is going to be great. Huge changes to the format coming up, right? And then this is going to be our first chance to see what the true pro teams get together, what they come up with when they get together for a PT.
It is almost time.
It is. All right, let's send it back to the news desk and Richard Hagan.
Thanks so much to Marshall Sutcliffe and Randy Buehler there with all the action from the limited rounds here on day one. Now, if you're new to coverage, you're very welcome. Don't forget you can see draft again tomorrow morning when all the players on 4 and 4 or better from the 8 rounds today come back to do it all again. But we're going to move away from the Pro Tour for a little while. It's lunchtime here. Players are going to get a little bite to eat and swap their 40-card decks for 60-card decks, already 75 with sideboards for the standard rounds. In a little while, Randy Buehler will be here to walk you through the shape of standard as we come in to this, well, pretty unknown format. But before that, we've got a very special feature. On Wednesday night, the 3 new members of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Fame, Willie Adel, Shota Yasuoka and Eric Froelich, were inducted in a very special ceremony, and we've got the highlights of those for you now. We'll see you in just a little bit here at the home of Magic the Gathering.
Good evening, Hall of Famers and special guests, and let's extend a big thank you to Rich Hagon for his musical stylings here. Welcome to Milwaukee, the start of a new Pro Tour season, and most importantly for 3 very anxious people sitting in the front of this room, the induction ceremony for the 2015 class of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Fame. I'm Pro Tour historian Brian David Marshall, and I'll be your MC for the festivities. As I can see a broad cross, well, I can't really see right now, but I saw you guys when you came in. I can see a broad cross-section of the history of this game sitting out here in this room as we move into our 2nd decade of Hall of Fame inductions. And we're right on the brink of the 20th anniversary of the very first Pro Tour. It's wonderful to see so many members of the Hall of Fame here. Going back to first year inductee Darwin Castle, all the way through to last year's inductee Guillaume Wafatapa. Guillaume, it's so great to see you here. No? Oh. I really thought he was going to make it this year, guys. I'm sorry. Well, last year's inductee Paul Rietzel, and as we induct these 3 players from 3 different regions around the world, I'm fascinated by the different aspects of each of these players' careers, not just the geographic disparity, but the very different arcs of their careers that the selection committee latched onto when they were filling out their ballots, and of course, politely talking about on social media. There was the Brazilian player who wanted to win at all costs and left all his friends behind, the gregarious Japanese player who loved to net deck, and, of course, the reclusive American player who succeeded despite his cold dispassion for the game. Now, if that doesn't sound quite right to you, that's good. It means you're paying attention. And after all, a lot of you guys voted for this class of the Pro Tour Hall of Fame that we're going to be inducting. And a lot of you were gracious enough to share your thoughts with us about why these players are so worthy of this induction today. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, let's meet the 2015 class of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Fame.
Brazil's Willie Adel made his Pro Tour debut in New York in 2001. After a pair of Worlds appearances, he returned to the Pro Tour in 06 with back-to-back second-place finishes.
The very last Invitational in 2006, Willie was in. And one of the interesting thing about it is when Willie got in, how many people were happy for him. Like, I'd never seen so many people happy for somebody who had gotten an Invitational. That, like, it was really neat that clearly he's a representative of where he comes from, that from Brazil, he is a spokesperson. And that so many people rally around him, so many people, like, just the amount of sheer happiness that happened when he finally made the Invitational, just, it was a joy to see.
He would post 4 Pro Tour and 7 Grand Prix top 8s with a win in Toronto 2012 and twice captained the Brazilian national team.
Willie's done a very good job of kind of smoothing those out for a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't be able to get to these tournaments or do well in them, and he's offering them a lot of assistance in addition to, making 4 top 8s and having good stats of his own. So it's the fact that he's able to hit both sides of the equation is really big for me.
He has built a Hall of Fame resume as a player, but it is his role in the South American Magic community that will be his enduring legacy.
And everything that he's done for Brazilian Magic, setting up tournaments, for flights for people to go to the Pro Tour, just because it's so expensive to fly out of Brazil. So, just all the things that he's done for Brazilian Magic, on top of just the fact that he's a very good Magic player, is the reason why I voted for Willie.
Even if it cost him opportunities to work with global super teams, Adel has always made it his priority that the next generation of South American players could get to the Pro Tour and have access to a player of his caliber to play test with.
I know Willie would rather play at the World Magic Cup than at the World Championship, and I don't think that's true for any other player on the planet. He just cares so much about the Brazilian Magic community, and he's helped a lot of people. He's helped me. I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for him.
For a couple months, I tried to think of something smart to say now, and I didn't come up with anything. So I just want to thank you. And I got a message like 2 months ago from someone that's starting to play Magic now. He's 30 years old, and he asked me if he's too old to start because he wants to make the Pro Tour someday. Well, at 30 years old, I found myself, in 2011, I found myself unemployed because I quit my job to pursue the Magic career. I quit my master's degree to do the same, and I fell off the train. And I didn't have a job. I wasn't qualified to Pro Tour anymore. Everything I have at that moment was my family that really supported me at that time and supported me to convince me to give myself another shot to try to come back to the Pro Tour, and I'm here. So if there's anything I can say now, it's never too late to start, and you should never stop believing if you think you can do something great. And I really want to help my wonderful wife, my family, all my friends here. Thank you very much.
Willie Adel, everybody.
Japan's Shota Yasuoka made his Pro Tour debut in Barcelona in 2001. He would get back intermittently until the end of the 2005 season when he would post the first of 7 top 16 finishes at Worlds in Yokohama.
If you say top 5%, he's got 9. The guy's always in contention. He's always making a deep run at the Pro Tour. That, for me, is the mark of a great player.
It would start a 5 Pro Tour run where he would not finish lower than 34th.
Shota's one of the most impressive Magic players I've ever met, played against, or watched. It's actually just incredible how fast he plays, how well he plays, and how well he wins with the decks he plays.
He won Pro Tour Charleston that year, earning Player of the Year honors.
But he's not been part of a think tank or a group or an established team. He kind of keeps to himself, brews his decks, analyzes the metagame, and just plays very well.
He has 2 Pro Tour top 8s, 19 Grand Prix top 8s, including 1 win, and was the Magic Online Player of the Year in 2009.
So that was a blue-red-green Aether Vial deck with Snapcaster Mage and Eternal Witness, and then you use Cryptic commands to bounce back, to counter a spell and bounce back your Eternal Witness and replay that and bring back Cryptic command. It was very different, and it was the first time I think that people played Aether Vial in a deck that wasn't creature-based. He had 14 creatures, and the card was still incredibly good in his deck.
Shota's winning. I come back. What's happening? Shota's winning. What's going? No, something new. Last time that's what you were telling me, and nope, Shota's still winning. And then I'm like, okay, well, what team did he work on? Who did he work with? Nobody.
A renowned control player with a solitary approach to deck building. His deck creations are always original, and in his capable hands, dominating.
He actually has invented and pioneered many variations of his own style. There's a whole school of deck building the way that Shota builds decks. It is a joy to see his work.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Japan, Shota Yasuoka.
Good evening. It is a great honor to be today. It has been 18 years since I began playing Magic, and about 10 years since I started playing Magic professionally. I won a Grand Prix, a Pro Tour, a Players of the Year title, and I have created many happy memories during those 10 years. But being inducted into the Magic Pro Tour Hall of Fame brings me a special joy and appreciation because this is recognition from many people in the community. I would like to thank everyone who has supported me throughout the years. I would like to continue to play and make an effort to be a role model for a new generation of Magic players. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
United States Eric Froelich cashed his very first Pro Tour as a 15-year-old playing in London in 2000.
He cares a lot about Magic. He watches a ton of Magic. He listens to a ton of Magic. He basically spends so much of his time consuming Magic content and now making Magic content and offering feedback and all these other things. He really just lives and breathes this game.
He would post the first of many top 16s the next season in Los Angeles and earn the first of 4 Pro Tour top 8s in San Diego in 2002.
You know, people see 4 top 8s and they say, yeah, that's what most Hall of Famers have. It's good, but it's not that exciting. But most Hall of Famers don't have another 6 top 16s. I mean, a top 16 is almost as hard to get as a top 8, and to have 10 finishes like that is incredible.
During the first leg of his career, he was known as a limited specialist, but after a break from the game, he returned in 2010 to become one of the most dominant all-around players with a 3-year median finish of 23rd.
Eric, for me, is one of the best pure players the game has seen. He's always on top of everything that matters in a match of Magic.
He's amassed 14 Grand Prix top 8s, highlighted by last season's win in San Jose.
The single biggest quality that defines Yukihiro is excellence. He's literally that good at constructed, at limited, at deck building. He's good at the team formats. He's a great playtester. He's great in the actual competition. You know, he's great under pressure.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal deck builder. He has great intuition for that. He can come out of nowhere and just assess a board state or evaluate a deck, even though he hasn't played with it, or even though he just got here and he still knows what changes you should make and what play is correct.
He remains a limited powerhouse, but during this past year, which saw him top 8 Pro Tour Fate Reforged, he had the best winning percentage of any player on the Pro Tour in constructed formats.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the United States, Eric Froelich.
Right. Yeah, here. What a long, strange trip it's been. Magic is, there aren't really words to define it. It's my life. It's been my life for more than 20 years at this point. It's brought me so much. The people who have made Magic, the people who continue to care a lot about Magic, a ton of you are in this room. Thank you for all that. I mean, this game has brought me everything. My lifelong friends, so many of them are here today. If I just start naming around the tables, like all of my closest friends, many of which I've met more than half my life ago. I mean, my first Pro Tour was in 1999, that's half a lifetime ago, and these people have meant so much to me. I've learned so much about just how to play Magic and about how to be a better person. I know that it's something I struggle with. Tilting is a thing. Emotions are hard to keep in check, and having so many great friends and so many important people who care enough to step aside and lend an ear to hear you tilt about a bad beat or to just be a friend and to be there for you. It's really amazing, and I think it's shaped my life in a lot of ways and made me the person I am today, and I continue to keep trying to be a better person. And to the people in coverage, Brian, Rich, Marshall, who I haven't known for as long, but so many great people who I've had an opportunity to start creating content with, to my closest friends, the people in Vegas who I live with and see regularly, to my teammates on Channel Fireball, past, present, and future. So many great people, and of course the people who I haven't had as much opportunity to work with, who have just been great friends, like David Williams, Patrick Chapin, Neil Reeves. Just there's so many great people that have really meant a lot to me. I want to thank my dad. Without my dad, I'd never get into Magic. I was 10 years old. It was 21 years ago, and I wanted to play Magic, and I had friends at school who were playing Magic, and he drives me to the comic book store and buys it was a revised starter kit. I believe it had 2 starter decks in it, and these cards looked really cool, and I just started playing them, and I didn't know any of the rules. The rule book was way too complicated for me, so my dad reads the whole thing overnight and teaches me the next day. He plays with me all the time. I was 10 years old. I needed to go to the store. I can't go by myself. My dad drove me all the time, and he played a little bit here and there, but he was just there to support me, and he made friends with so many of you guys. And again, I thank you for that, for being so nice to me and my family, and just being great people. Obviously, the Magic community is fantastic. But he traveled the world with me. My first Pro Tour was in London in 1999. I was 15, and my dad came to London, and we're big guys, and flying on long flights is not fun. And he was there every time. He flew to Australia with me for Worlds in 2002, and all the other tournaments until I went off to college. So thank you to my dad for that, and to the 2 most important women in my life. I guess not as many people have had a chance to get to know them, but if you guys can come up, that would be great. My mom, Gail, and my girlfriend, Athena. I know a lot of you have gotten a chance to meet my dad, and he still asks all the time, how's Huey doing? How's Brock doing in the tournaments? How are they doing in life? Like, people have just embraced my family, and nobody's really gotten a chance to meet my mom. She hasn't been to the tournaments, but she's my best friend. I try to talk to her every day, and I know that's sometimes considered soft to say, but she really is an amazing person, and hasn't always been the case. I mean, I think that as a child, it's kind of hard sometimes to relate to your mom, but she was always very supportive of me when times were tough, when I didn't want to go to school, when I wanted to play poker, when I wanted to play Magic. My mom was always there for me, and I really appreciate that. And Magic brought me my girlfriend. Instead of using Plenty of Fish or Match.com, I went with Twitch. It's an innovative new strategy, but I wanted to be a little bit different, and saw this girl and started to get to know her, and she's a pretty amazing one. And so, she's made things so much easier for me. Again, I struggle with various things with emotions. It's tough when it's something, when you do everything in life that basically revolves around variance. People say things like, how do you not know how to handle this? You play poker and Magic professionally for over a decade. And it's tough, but having those supportive people in your life are the most important things. And so, she's been my rock and been fantastic and made everything so much easier for me. And so, this is my special day, and I can't imagine sharing it with anyone more special to me than Athena. And I'd also like to take this moment to say that I don't think I should be the only one to get a ring today, and I'd like to share all the rest of my days with her. And she said yes.
Congratulations, Eric and Athena. Eric, if you could stay up here for a moment. Eric, if we could just bring up one last look, the whole class, the 2015 class of the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. Willie, Shota. Let's give them a big hand. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 class of the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that wasn't emotional at all, was it? Fantastic. Congratulations to all three of them. I said in their own way, each of those speeches so special and so heartfelt. Willie Adel, Shodi Yasuoka, Eric Froelich. Fantastic. The class of the Hall of Fame 2015. Well, who comes next? Well, if you want to get in the Hall of Fame, you need wins and lots of them. Why don't we put a bow on our limited coverage here as we look at our 2 featured draft pods from the morning. All the results are in. We're heading towards standard, but this is what limited did to our 2 featured pods. And it was Oliver Polak-Rotman sitting between Brian Kibler and William Jensen who got the black-red hookup, and boy did he deliver. He annihilated Mark Tobias in approximately 6.5 minutes to claim the pod title. And then just extraordinary. When you look at the countries there, just think back 10 years, 2005. That would almost certainly have been reversed. It would have been United States, United States, United States, and then the Europeans just fighting for that one win down the bottom to avoid the 0-3. And at this table, Austria, Czech Republic, Germany, Denmark are your winners at the table. USA, 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 and Chile. Jorge Guerrero, 1 and 2. Guerrero, though, that's his very first Pro Tour. So well done to him. He beat Tom Martell in round 1. Let's take a look at our other featured table for you, and we'll see what happened there. Well, the result we were waiting for right at the back end of the round was Jacob Wilson against Thierry Ramboa. As you see there, it is the Canadian Wilson who claims the 3-0 start. He's gone all the way to the very last match of the tournament. Doesn't yet have a title though, so can Jacob Wilson convert 3-0 into a strong standard finish here on day 1? Willie Adel, fresh from the Hall of Fame, 2-1. Philip Baum of Germany, also 2-1. He won his last match against Sam Pardee. And again, the 3 Americans in the pod, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. And Black, Pardee and Wijaya are all very good Magic players. There are no cheap wins here at the Pro Tour. All right, so that's a bow on our limited coverage. We'll be back with the 40-card format tomorrow morning when a little under half the field, anyone on 4 and 4 or better, just over half the field will be back. The rest eliminated and watching from the sidelines. But this afternoon, it's all about new standard. What are the cards from Battle for Zendikar that we might see over the next few hours and eventually in the hands of someone claiming the title? Well, yesterday we sat with Hall of Famer Randy Buehler to discuss the shape of standard. Hello everyone, welcome to the news desk on the eve of the Pro Tour. Rich with Randy here to set the standard scene. And Randy, it really is the most wonderful time of the year.
God, big rotations are just, yeah, it's awesome. Bunch of cards leave standard, bunch of new cards come into standard, and then all bets are off. Let's find out what's good. We get to find out. Now, the Pro Tour is here. It's time to find out what the good decks actually are.
Now, obviously, we hype the new cards. We're all excited about the new set. But not everything left standard. There are plenty of things still here. So why don't we start with some of the familiar cards that are going to carry on, we think, being familiar here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got a whole year worth of cards that are very good. We've still got Siege Rhino in the mix. Although, interestingly, I don't actually think Siege Rhino is anywhere near as good as he was last year. because there's no Elspeth and there's no Thoughtseize. Like, not having Elspeth as that, 6 mana trump for whatever your opponent is doing, that's a huge loss. And without Thoughtseize, it's not as compelling to splash black in your green-white deck either. So, I mean, Siege Rhino is around and it's still a very good Magic card, but I actually think Mantis Rider is going to be that sort of 3-colored creature that becomes omnipresent that you kind of get a little bit sick and tired of seeing across the table from you.
Well, it's very, very, very efficient. We gave them a very one for each of the colors.
There you go. That works. And then the really interesting thing is I think the decks are now able to take Mantis Rider and the card next to it on that slide of Crackling Doom. They overlap by 2 colors, but you can play 4 colors a lot easier now than you could last year. So that's definitely a thing that's definitely going to happen.
Now, is that going to be for want of a better term, a Mardu deck? Is it going to be red, white, black, and then little bits of other things, or which is the color there that's kind of the surprise, if you like?
It's a Jeskai deck splashing black.
Okay.
You're going to wind up, you want to play Mantis Rider on turn 3, you want to play Jace on turn 2 in that deck. You got your burn to kill their creatures, got your Dig Through Time sitting at the top of the curve, but just a little bit of black mana because Crackling Doom is just an amazing removal spell right now. So it's really a Jeskai deck splashing for Crackling Doom.
Okay, and then at the end, an iconic, not Planeswalker, kind of.
Baby Planeswalker.
Legendary creature, human wizard, Jace, Vryn's Prodigy.
He's pretty good.
We're going to see plenty of Jace?
We're going to see plenty of Jace in all Magic formats for all time, I think.
Okay. So,
is it a Magic format today?
Yes.
All right, we're going to see Jace.
Fair. All right, so they are still here. What else is around at the moment?
Yeah, you've got this Den Protector Deathmist Raptor combo, the sort of Megamorph deck. Anytime you see Megamorph in the name of a deck, it usually means it's got both of these cards in it. It's so much value, and it gives you the ability to just grind out these incremental advantages where, I flip my Den Protector to regrow the thing I needed. I get my Deathmist Raptors back. And the longer the game goes, the farther ahead you get with these just incremental advantages, incremental advantages, incremental advantages. That's just it's a powerful strategy in a game of Magic.
So you've kind of put those two together. They're both green. The next two, Abbot of Carol Keep.
You think those go together too?
They might do, mightn't they?
Martin Dang will have a thing or two to say about that. Yoel Larson. We've had 2 Pro Tours in a row that have been won by red beatdown decks.
Right.
It could go 3 straight. The Atarka's Command decks, Atarka Red, whatever you want to call it, those decks are very good. They're still fast. They still have an aggressive curve. They've got removal spells. And the thing is, their mana's even better now than it was last year. The fact that green splash, it's not just, wow, I hope I draw a green source so I can cast this Atarka's Command. It's more like, you know what? These fetch lands, I could delve Become Immense. I could have 2 or 3, maybe I could have 4 copies of Become Immense and the Atarka's Commands in my red deck.
Well, we had plenty of 3 and 4 color references in our a moment ago, and then we sort of come down to 1 and maybe 1.5/2. Let's finish with none. Hangaback Walker.
Yeah, it's just good. I mean, it's just very, very good. It's good enough that you're going to see people bending the removal around the fact that they expect to run into lots and lots of Hangerback Walkers. So even when you're not seeing Hangerback Walker, you're going to see things like Silk Wrap suddenly. It almost feels like Silk Wrap was in the new set. But no, it's been around. It's just now that Hangerback Walker and people are looking for ways to deal with creatures and sort of get them off the battlefield without necessarily killing them. Hangerback Walker's causing a lot of shenanigans like that.
All right. Now, last time I checked, there were still 5 colours in Magic, but what you don't always get is the ability to play 3, 4, and 5. Often you are constrained and you play 1 or 2. That's all about mana base. This set, all about the mana.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can tell we're going back to Zendikar. It is lands, lands, lands. The interaction between the fetch lands and the battle lands is amazing. Cinderglade, Prairie Stream, that whole cycle. You get to build these mana bases that can just reliably cast 4 mana spells or, reliably cast triple colored spells. Archangel of Tides, whatever you want to do, you can do it. Pick the spells you want to play with. You can build a mana base that will reliably cast them. And that's just not normally true, especially in Standard.
Right, and it's also not something that you have to pay extortionate amounts of life for.
No.
This is not a format where burn decks think of you as starting on 12 or 14. We're not going to pay lots of life for this.
You do have to pay a little bit of time. Pay a little bit of life to the fetch lands and a little bit of time. Like, being able to order it so that all of your lands come into play untapped is tricky and can't always be done. I mean, you often get these hands where it's like the puzzle, like, all right, how do I want to drop Jace on turn 2 and then Mantis Rider and then have Crackling Doom available. It's usually doable, but, the order in which you get those lands out can be tricky, and often you are going to be playing some comes into play tap lands, and that's what the red deck is going to take advantage of. Not the life, but the time.
Okay, and despite that 4 and 5 color mana bases, you've also got room in the format for things like Shambling Vent, and Lumbering Falls.
Yeah, having a couple nice new creature lands to play with. Creature lands that tap for 2 different colors of mana are just great. I mean, they were great in World Wake. They're great once again. Those are just going to be cards that you see floating around people's mana bases and attacking and killing folks.
All right, let's have the fun bit. What are the new toys in Battle for Zendikar?
Yeah, lots. In addition to all of those lands, Gideon, I believe, the ally of Zendikar, is going to be the most played card from Battle for Zendikar. And you can start having conversations about what else, but there's all kinds of cool stuff. Converge is a thing. Both Radiant Flames and Bring to Light take advantage of the new Converge mechanic. That's definitely a thing you're going to see. Dragon Master Outcast is kind of hanging out too. Like, you get a lot of these grindy decks that are just incremental advantage. You know, the game lasts a little while. If there's not one of those Atarka red decks involved in the game, you're going to get to 6 mana. And like, having a 1-mana creature that can just spit out dragons is kind of exciting. You want to know what's even more exciting? You know, getting it back from the graveyard with Ojutai's command.
Oh boy.
On turn 6. So bing, dragon. Yeah, good times.
So of those, look, we know that Gideon Ally of Zendikar is out there. We know there are many copies of that Planeswalker sitting in deck boxes ready to go tomorrow. This is not news. Of the other 4, if you could put a deck that really takes advantage of one of those 4 into the top 8 for Sunday. So I'll give you a slot in the top 8 right now for a deck that uses either Bring to Light or Radiant Flames or Drana or Dragon Master Outcast. Which would you take straight to Sunday?
I mean, am I choosing for entertainment
For
value?
fun,
or
yeah.
Entertainment. I want to see if Bring to Light is really a thing. Like, Bring to Light, it's just the idea that for 5 mana, I can cast basically any spell in my deck. Just, I like being able to build that toolbox. I think that that's just a cool take on Magic. It doesn't resemble the other decks in Standard. I hope that that's a real thing. You know, this is what it's always like at the beginning of the first Pro Tour after a big rotation, right? We don't really know what's going to come up. Like, we know kind of what's done well at a couple of Open Series events, but is that really the metagame? Probably not. Like, there's going to be some new stuff this weekend. There's going to be some cards that I haven't put on slides that show up and have a big impact, and now we get to find out which ones they'll be.
And by the time you see this, it will be time for the standard rounds here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. I can tell you that the players out beyond the camera are sitting down, gearing up for this next round. Now, again, this morning, everyone sat around draft tables of 8, meaning they could only play people within that table. That's to keep the cards, the variance of what's actually in the packs, relatively fair. You might have a table packed with lots of really great cards and a weaker table, so you always draft just within your table. Once we get to Constructed, which is coming up now, and I know a lot of you already know this, but if you're new, this is for you. What happens is it's your record, just your record in the tournament, that determines who you can play. So right now, everyone who won their draft pod this morning at 3-0 are scheduled to face someone else with a perfect 3-0 record. Someone might be the odd one out and get pared down, as we say, to someone on 2-1. But fundamentally, all the 3-0s are on a collision course, and it works out 4-0, 5-0, 6-0 until tonight. Well, we'll have 1 or maybe 2 players with a perfect day 1, 8-0 in great shape for the top 8 on Sunday, but still with a long way to go. Well, someone who started out 3-0 is one of the smartest men in Magic in multiple ways, not just up here, but also sartorially. Let's meet the sartorial Swede and have a word with Joel Larsen.
All right, Joel Larsen, tell me about your preparation for Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.
All right, it started with our team, which has a new name to it.
Okay.
We're called Team Eureka.
Okay.
Yep, that's the formerly known as Team Tamo, but now it's Eureka. And we all came down to Madison Monday before the Grand Prix, and we started limited testing for a long time. Then we continued to stay after GP in Madison, testing Constructed and preparing for this event. So we came in today. We had some great additions this year. We have Golden Pro Fabrizio Antieri, Pierre Dachien, also a very good player, Daniel Fior, and many others. So it's going to be great, I think.
So same core, but you're just adding on some other high-end European pros that you feel confident will be there throughout the whole year because of their player club status.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see.
Okay. So, Joel Larsen, tell me why Sweden is going to do well at the World Magic Cup. You're their captain. You're the national champion. Why is Sweden going to do well?
I had some preparation with this before, third time in a row, so I kind of know what to do now.
Okay.
When I have World's Community Cup, the Pro Tour behind me after this weekend, it's gonna be all it's gonna be all focused on the World Magic Cup, so it's gonna be great. I think we have a solid team, and I think it's gonna be great.
What is that preparation like for something like, because you get a range of experience, like you know
Sure.
you are a seasoned Pro Tour veteran at this point, but you don't always have that level of experience on the team. So
Sure.
how do you sort of catch people up?
I think there's going to be a lot of talk on various social medias about how the preparation will go. Since I've worked with so many different teams and for a long time, I have a pretty good idea how it works. So I'm going to try to get them into that and this is how we're going to do, this is how we're going to test, and we'll figure it out from there. I think it's going to be good. Yeah. Okay.
So another eureka moment. You guys have
That's right.
You've won a couple Pro Tours in a row now.
Yep. It's third one coming up.
Okay.
You got it.
All right, Joel Larson, good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Well, he's doing just fine, BDM. 3-0 to kick us off. Why don't we take a look at our first leaderboard, true leaderboard of the weekend, all the players who are at 3-0. So here's part one. This is going to go on a while because this is everyone who won their draft pod. So let's start. Here's 1 to 20.
So, anytime I think you see Patrick Chapin at 3-0 coming out of draft going into constructed, I feel like everyone should be very scared. I mean, he's been a tremendous drafter for the last 2 seasons, but historically that was sort of, I think, the weakest part of his Pro Tour game.
Right. Traditionally, that's where he would handicap himself a little bit against the field.
Yes.
So 3-0 a really big deal.
And he's just been a monster in limited for a little bit of while now, and now with Team Ultra Pro for this Pro Tour, and we've seen what their sort of how good their pick orders have been and how well they've been able to predict the draft tendencies at these events. To see him 3-0, that's pretty exciting. Paul Cheon at 3-0, also Channel Fireball, the classic lean, mean Channel Fireball squad.
There's only like half a dozen of them,
Yeah.
right? There's Cheon, LSV is in there, David Ochoa, Matt Nass.
Josh Utter-Layton,
right, so
and then Eric Froelich, the
Okay.
new Hall of Famer. But it's just six players. It was funny. I was interviewing Luis about that, and I was like, "Oh man, that's really almost entirely your original lineup." And he's like, "Wow, you know what?" He's like, "That's actually not only pre-Channel Fireball, Team Channel Fireball. It's pre-Channel Fireball. Like I came up as like a no-name guy, going to the PTQs and maybe getting to the PT with Ochoa, with Paul Cheon, with Josh Utter-Layton. So it was really like a return to his roots, this event. So, and for Paul Cheon, 3-0, that's very exciting.
Okay, let's take another look at that master scoreboard. Steve Hatto, you interviewed earlier, the 4-time Luxembourg champion.
Well, I mean, he is blessed for this event.
he was taken to church. Pierre Dajon of France, Reed Duke, Palavida Dama de Rosa, again, great starts by them. Paolo, the only player since 2000 to have won a Pro Tour starting out 0-2, he decided that starting out 3-0 would be easier.
Yes, Paolo, by the way, I should have noted, one of the players who's not on the Channel Fireball Prime roster for this tournament, has been there for as long as, for the last several years. He went over and he's working with the face-to-face games guys in the more traditional way that the Channel Fireball team used to work.
Okay, let's move on to our second page here because all these players still at 3-0. Let's look at 21 through 40 for you. Everyone here won a draft pod. So huge names here. You see Matt Sperling, number 24 ranked, John Stern and Sam Tharmaratnam in Canada.
Hall of Famers are what leap out to me here,
Right,
Rich.
go on.
Masashio Iso, Ole Rade, and Ben Rubin.
And Kenji Samura.
And Makihito Mahara.
Okay, I think we've covered the 5 of them now. Just the 5 Hall of Famers who aced their draft pod there. Yeah, just
Oh, by the way, Don van Ravensvaj is someone coming off of a pretty heartbreaking season last year. I hope he can pull it out this year.
Okay, there are a few more, but never mind that right now. It's time for the 40 cards to be done. It's time for 60 cards to begin. What in the world are we going to see from our 400 Milwaukee Brewers? It's time for round 4 of Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar.